Hi, it's John Kelly here. I'm an R user who's doing some work lately in Julia, and and lots of colleagues in my field, which is oceanography, use R quite a lot. And Julia can be useful if you need performant code. It's a kind of a instead of learning Fortran, perhaps you could learn Julia. Um, if you don't know what Fortran is, it doesn't really matter. So Julia is a language that is both high level and allows you to get low level performance. And it's quite similar to Python and MATLAB and R, but there are differences. And I just wanted to walk through some. Now I'm showing you a window here. The top part of the window is a text editor. I use NeoVim. That's a text editor I have. And the bottom part of the window is a Julia session. And if I type stuff in the Julia session, it will run it. Like if I say 3 divided by 10, it will say 0.3. So notice what it's doing. It's showing a new prompt. When you do a command or an instruction, whatever you want to call it, it shows you the output and then a blank line and then Julia again. That's how that works. Now in the editor, I've got a bunch of little blocks, I guess I'll call them, and they're delineated by hash code or pound sign, whatever you want to call that, space percent percent. And I have my editor set up in such a way that if I type a certain thing, it runs the code in that block. So if I type and the thing happens to be space TT, it doesn't really matter because you can make it be whatever you want it to be. Space TT, and it will run the code. And in each of these blocks, I'm showing you what you would do in R, and then after, and it's the grayed out text, the comment, and then here's how you would do it in Julia. So I run that, and it's showing you the comment, etc. So this was the command, and I got back 1 to 10. Now that's kind of a funny thing. So in R, if you did 1 colon 10, it would make a vector of those numbers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's how it would display. Now, it actually won't be storing it that way. That's the clever thing about our maybe in the past couple of years or something like that. It actually stores it's storing something, an internal representation for the sequence. I'll put it that way. And the reason for this is that it's more efficient. Like if you're looping through whatever, like 1,000 million, that would be a billion values of something, and you say for I in 1 to a billion, then it has to allocate for a billion 64-bit integers, which is a waste because all you're doing is you're indexing. Okay, so under the hood, the same thing is happening, but R displays it in a more comfortable way. And okay, so we're going to go to the second example. Here, what I'm doing is I'm doing what you would do in R would be sequence from 1 to 10 in steps of 0.1. So you say the beginning value in Julia, the beginning value colon, the stepping value colon, and the final value. But here's a new thing. When I say collect, what I'm doing is I'm saying, look, really, I really want you to make it into um, a, a, a vector like this. So at this stage, it's not a lot of memory, but it's using whatever memory that is for 91 64-bit integers. Notice that it's displaying an ellipsis here, dot, dot, dot. It's a clever thing that I really quite like, actually, that it doesn't fill up the screen with stuff. When it can, it will write something like that to help you. Okay, and now in R, you would say head and tail or something. And oh, maybe I'll say why is that. Okay. And by the way, if you don't want it to print interactively, you can just put a semicolon like that. I think MATLAB does the same. In a script, you don't have to bother with that because it won't show it anyways. Um, and I usually just leave it because who cares? Okay, I can, if I want to see the beginning of it, you would say head in R, and the bottom of it would be tail in R. But in Julia, you would say first. And what is it? Why? I'd want the first 3 of them and the last 3 of them. That's how you would do that. It's quite nice. Notice something else here in my editor. This is just a feature of it's NeoVim. The editor is just saying ncol. Well, it understands the language that I'm using and it knows what the arguments are for this function called first. And this is just telling me that the name of that argument is 3. Sometimes that will help you if you look at that and think, oh, what was the third? You should have given it a name or given it intermediate. value. It's a bit of a subtle point, doesn't matter that much. Now in R, you would say repeat 1.0 comma 3 to get well, just to repeat 1.0 three times. And in Julia, you've got to repeat a vector. It has to be a vector, or it could be an array. It's a lot of different things it could be, but just one would give an error message. So you have to go square bracket. Okay, in R, you would collect things by saying like C paren 1 comma 2. I'll do that in Julia, so we get kind of the same thing actually. I will run this one. Square bracket 1 comma that. I don't know why I'm writing it out, saying it out loud. Yep, so that's what you get. It becomes a matrix like that, and and you would use you would use the matrix function, but you don't have to in this one. That's how you get a horizontal matrix. I don't know what you want to call it, but a 1 by 3 versus a 3 by 1 matrix. Okay, now I don't have any code here actually, but I want to show you this. It's one of the things I really like best about. Now you can type this. That's the thermal expansion coefficient for seawater or for water. It's an approximate value, it varies. But that would be water at about room temperature, 2.4. So that's fine. I mean, that's fine. There's no problem with that. I could say that. Maybe I'm interested in a fluid system in which there's 1 kilo per meter cubed difference in maybe two layers in a fluid. I might say DeltaRho, and sometimes I might want to multiply alpha times DeltaRho. You notice that it's completing for me there, which is that's another nice feature, I guess. Okay, so that seems fine. I don't have a problem with that, really. But here's what I like better. Alpha, I did a backslash. Alpha, and I'm going to press a tab. It changed it into the Greek letter. It looks a lot like an A, but it's a Greek letter. And now I want DeltaRho. I say capital Delta, tab, rho, tab equals 1.0, let's just say. And now I can do alpha times delta. All right, and from the first and last lines here that are visible, alpha times blah, blah, blah. I hope you can see that this notation where my mouse is, the first one at the top, okay, it's much longer than this notation down here. And honestly, if you know the formulae that you're using, it's, in my opinion, much simpler to look at code which looks like the formula, which has a delta rho or delta x or delta t, or has an epsilon, comes up a lot, epsilon, a gamma. It's like my favorite Greek letter. I seem to define everything to be gamma. Maybe I have to apologize for my font because it looks like a V, but it's a gamma. Really nice. So anything that you can do it in Unicode, you can probably do like happy face, which I don't know, would it be smiley? I don't really know. But you can do any Unicode that you want. Very, very nice. Approx, I did backslash approx. Now I'll say 3 is approximately 10. It's going to say no. Give me a break. 3.1, no. Ooh, it is approximately. And then you can say, well, I won't get into it, but there's a way that you can do tests like this and you can say, well, I'll do it. So what I'm doing is I'm asking for atol. I'm not exactly sure why that's not working. That I think I might have that spelled wrong anyway, but I'm just going to say ignore that. Okay, do we have other stuff? Oh, I'll show you loops now. I don't actually know how to edit stuff out of YouTube. So unfortunately, you're going to have to see this craziness that I'm talking about now. I think maybe this atol only works if you're in a testing environment. Yes, okay. So that's what that was. Um, so three dot. Is that right? Yes, it is. And is this right? It should say no. Yeah, there's an error. Um, quite nice. Anyway, I have explained that, so that's good. Let me just run this code. That code, I'm saying I want the integer I in the range from 1 to 10. It's a loop. And in R, you would have to put this in parentheses, and you have to put curly braces. You don't use curly braces for that purpose in Julia. You put an end token. You end loops and conditionals in the same way with the end token. Uh, it's a little bit, in a way, getting rid of those curly braces. It's moving away from the C notation. It's a little bit Pythonish, but I have to say, because I've used some Python as well, I adore having a specific end token. And it really frustrates me that Python doesn't have it. It's the thing that people like in the beginning, the indentation tells you what's going on. Honestly, if you've coded enough, it can be quite frustrating. Like you want to copy and paste some code from another code that you've written, you've got to make sure the indentation is right or you screw everything up. So I love having an end statement. Um, is there anything else oh, maybe the ternary operator, which I don't think we have in R actually. So I'll say X is 7. I'm going to say X less than 10, question mark, hi, ye, colon, E. That's what I'm saying there. Let's just run that code. Um, and it said ye, because in fact, 7 is less than 10. It's a ternary operator. It's quite useful, comes up handy quite a lot. Um, so I don't think that's kind of like in, maybe I would put this in here, make it a block. And so this is kind of like if else. That's kind of what that is. Um, and yeah, so that's what that is. I think I've probably given enough. I'm just seeing it's coming up on 14 minutes. These are a few things that might be useful. So what I've done here is I'm showing you some, it's 47 lines of file that I've put. I'm going to upload this to YouTube and I'm going to see if it lets me put the whole thing as comments on the video. I don't really know how much you're allowed to put. I don't think you're allowed to put attachment files either. So but if I can, I will, and then you won't have to stop and print this stuff out. I think you might like your journey in learning about Julia. For sure, don't think, oh, I'm pretty good on the computer. I've got an assignment due tomorrow. And instead of writing it in Python or R, whatever I'm familiar with, I'm going to try out Julia because you might end up getting pretty frustrated and deciding you don't like Julia. Um, so this is a Labor Day weekend coming up. I hope you enjoy the long weekend. If you see this before, I hope you enjoyed it. If you see this after, take care.